guys, welcome back to my channel. So Paintsomeway recently contacted me and asked if I would be interested in trying some of their products. So I said, sure, I would love to try some. So I got this mold here, and it's a heart frame mold, and I thought it would be perfect for Valentine's Day. So we're going to play around with this today. I also got they're acrylic flower silicone things like for acrylic pour painting. I have an idea of something I want to try with these, so we're going to be playing with those in another video. And if you saw my heart pendant video recently, these are the stickers that I use. Now, unfortunately, those stickers have been discontinued, which is a shame because they are gorgeous. So, on to this frame mold. What I want to do is I am going to first start off by using some chameleon. It's Let's Resin the chameleon flakes. Now these are the opal colored ones, and I just want a touch of them along the edges of this mold. So I don't want it packed in. I just am kind of not haphazardly placing them on there, but kind of just brushing them on here and there just to give it that extra little something for when I demold this. I'm not going in for full coverage, just a little accent for this. And that's all I'm going to do right here. And you can see just kind of putting it on, and however they go on, they go on. Now, if you've never worked with chameleon flakes before, and I have not, this is my first go at it, they do not spread easily. I feel like if I was to cover like this entire mold with it around the edges, I'd probably end up using my entire jar of the flakes for this. I mean, I don't know for certain, but that's just how it seems because of how they just kind of, wherever you stick them, that's kind of where they're at, and they're not going anywhere else. So they aren't very easy to spread, but it's fine for what I'm doing now. And the end results, I think it adds to it. Okay, so we're done with that. Now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a very thin, clear layer in first. Now, I want to add some dry flowers. I want to add all kinds of stuff to this just to make it, I mean, you guys saw the thumbnail. Like, I think it turns out absolutely gorgeous. Like, I really, really love it. I do. For the middle heart, just a very thin layer. Now, if you've seen my video from Saturday, you will recognize this heart that I am placing in here. This was the favorite one that I had out of all 9 that I did, and I really, really wanted to put this in here. Now, granted, this is a picture frame mold, but you don't have to use pictures. You can use whatever. So I did put on, just kind of ran over the back of it with resin just to kind of avoid any air bubbles getting in, and just centering it in. I don't want a lot of resin in this layer because this is my first one, and I don't want my flowers to float all the way to the top. I kind of want to make sure that they're going to be, towards the back of this. Centering it, making sure that the resin is kind of, I put it over it. It doesn't matter at this point because I obviously am going to put another layer on here, and just putting the rest in this bottom layer. Now, around the outside of the frame. Just to let you guys know, all your links and discount codes to everything that I've used that you can get, I will have in the description box below. Now, if it's something that I've ordered off of Temu, I will try to kind of go on Amazon and link that, because I know a lot of people don't like using Temu, but link something that is either the same or very similar to what I've purchased. And just going around the edges and all those 90-degree angles with my dotting tool, just to make sure that there are no bubbles that are stuck there. And then we're going to go and we're going to hit it with our heat gun real quick, pop any of those bubbles that we've brought to the surface, or any bubbles that are just coming up from mixing it. And then we're going to start chucking some stuff in here. Now, like I said, I'm doing some dried flowers. Now, the red flowers I purchased, the baby's breath that I'm going to put in here are actually flowers that I've dried from roses that my husband got me, that they came with it, and they just dried really nice. But first, we're going to put in some stones. So I have these, they're like a baby pink colored stone that I'm adding in right now, and I'm just keeping them to the bottom part of the frame on the heart, and then I'm just going to throw some in on the base. And then I've got some iridescent white ones that I'm going to add in here as well. Now, this is going to kind of serve two factors. One, it's going to make this a little bit heavier and have some sturdiness to it. And then two, it's just going to add some just extra texture to it, you know? Moving them around, making sure that they're all covered, that they're kind of evenly distributed throughout. And then we're going to have some fun adding some flowers in. So the flowers, like I said, I'm going with kind of like a ready kind of tone to kind of match the flower that I have on the heart that's on the in the middle. Right now I'm just kind of making sure that they're lined up evenly, the rocks on each side. And I want them to be so okay, the base is going to be upside down right now. The heart in the middle, obviously, we're looking at it right side up. And the heart on the outside, we're going to be looking at it right side up, just so you guys kind of know how I'm figuring this. So, because it's so thin on the outside, I've kind of got to use the smaller flowers of them. So, I'm just kind of taking it, and I want to make it kind of as symmetrical as I can with what I have. So, it's a process to get them in here. And like I said, I want them to be completely under the resin at this layer. I don't want them floating. I want them to be pushed towards the bottom more because we're going to do some other stuff in the upcoming layers. So this is kind of going to be my background. But at the same time, I'm not going to want them completely hidden by the next layer either. So it's kind of a lot of hoping that this is going to work out the way I want it to. And I'm very limited in what I can use as far as size-wise because most of my flowers are on the bigger size. But it's fine. We're just going to keep going and use what we have. And like I'm doing right now, cut down some of the other ones that are a little bit too big just to kind of put them in here so that we can fill this up a little bit more. I do end up moving some around a little bit so that I can get the smaller ones in there and make it not quite so empty looking. And onto the base where I can have fun and actually add some of my bigger flowers, which was fantastic. Now onto the baby's breath. So I'm not putting the stems in. I'm just kind of drizzling around the flowers that have fallen off of the stems into there. And of course, I dropped a big chunk in right there. So I'm just kind of, spreading it out right now. And we're going to add some to the base and then we're done. Now, I don't want to add too much to the middle heart. I want some so that it flows with the rest of the piece, but not so much that I'm going to have to worry about it floating on top of the heart in the middle. I don't want that obscured at all. And at this point, with adding the flowers and all that stuff, the resin, kind of whatever. Now, what I just showed you is, I guess at some point with me moving onto my drying rack, I didn't check it and the flower or the heart in the middle shifted and now it's off center, which breaks my heart. Like it really, really does. I was so upset when I saw that. I spent so much time trying to make sure that it was perfectly centered and then I moved it and I didn't even realize it and I could have fixed it if I had checked it. Anyway, on to the next layer of resin. I poured it in that middle heart. There was a air bubble in there from the first layer, so I popped that through with my dotting tool just so I can get the resin in there. And we're just going to leave that to the side. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm adding some of my Rolio Pearl White. It's like a super sparkle. And I'm just mixing a tiny bit, tiny bit, because if you add too much, it's going to overtake everything. And I'm putting it on here. This one is backwards, so the top is the bottom right now. So I don't really have to worry as much about it covering anything up and me losing stuff because it's going to be coming through from the bottom. Now on the top part, on this heart, I'm adding some clear resin and then I'm going to very carefully, just add a tiny bit of this, kind of just letting it fall off the popsicle stick. and then spreading it out a little bit because I don't want this to overtake it, because if it does, it'll ruin everything, because remember, now this is the front. So the bottom I'm not so worried about. I can concentrate it a little bit more down there, but I'm still like, I don't want it to overtake it. Hitting it real quick with my heat gun just to kind of spread it out just a little bit more. Same thing with the bottom. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my pink foil and we're going to mix that in with just a little bit of resin. Mix that in, break it up, and then we're going to throw this in here too. Now, doing it the same way that I did it with the Super Sparkle, just a little bit. We don't want it to go over top of the flowers and ruin everything that we have on the bottom layer. It's just to kind of accent a little bit more. And if I was smart, I would have done this the other way around or did it backwards, but it's fine. And then we're just going to pour the rest on the bottom of this. This is the bottom, so it's not going to matter as much if it overtakes it, because we've got the flowers and everything on the other side that we're going to see through there. And then pouring in the rest of that Super Sparkle in here. And then we're just going to fill it up the rest of the way with clear resin. Now, that's it. Like, we're not doing too much else more with this. Just kind of filling it up, hit it with our heat gun, and we're done. We're going to let this cure and hope that it turns out as pretty as I think it's going to. I mean, we already kind of know what the heart's going to turn out like, but at this point, I'm not sure what the base is going to turn out like. So I'm hoping that it's going to be what I think. And here we are 24 hours later. It is completely dry. Now let's see how this works. And I'm very curious as to how the chameleon flakes worked as well, because like I said, I've never used them before. And I've never even seen these opal ones before this past week, but it was after I had already used them, where I think it was T and Art had done something with the opal chameleon flakes. So yeah, I didn't even know. They added a little bit. I think I show you here in a second. You can kind of see them. They just kind of add that little bit of sparkle to it. So I'm liking the way that the base turned out. I do notice though that the resin did pull out some color from those flowers, because I only used red flowers. And that's kind of, a little sad, but not as sad as my heart moving off center, which I'm just so upset about. Anyway, I think it turns out really pretty. Like, I really truly do. Now, noticing that when I put the heart into the base, it fits as far as it's, but you see how it's wobbly? Uh I would, I guess it depends on how you're doing it. So, personally, I think that it would be a good idea to glue it in. Now, I've filled my mold up completely, so I don't know why it's so big. Generally speaking, when you've put things together, like the resin things, I feel like you have to be careful because they end up being too small and then you have to shove them in and they barely fit. I don't know. This one was too big though. So I think gluing it would be a good idea. Now, if you were to sell this, that would make the shipping process a little bit more difficult. You'd have to ship it in a bigger box than you would have to if, say, you left them in separate pieces and your customer or whatever put it together on their own. But, I don't know. So now I want to dress this up a little bit more. So I got my Estoyo UV resin and I am going to put some faceted gemstones around the outside of this heart just to give it that extra little something something and bling it out just a little bit more, which, it was a process to do. It took a little bit, but I think in the end, it just, it added that wow factor to it, in my opinion. I really like how it turned out. I really do. Like, I think it looks really pretty. So I'm lining these up, and what I'm doing is I only did it halfway right now because I want to make sure that I have them spaced properly to get to the middle, because I want that center, the point of the heart, to be at the point. And then I'm going and I took my silicone tool and kind of pushed the UV resin towards the gemstones more and wiped it off with a cotton bud so I don't have an exuberant amount of UV resin kind of just chilling and going wherever it wants. And then I put it under the light just long enough to stop it from moving while I get the rest of this in place. And then I'm going to hit it for a full 5 minutes, front and back. So, I want the top to be completely done, but then I want to get it from the underside to where those gemstones are, and that light's not going to penetrate through on the front side. So since it's clear, I'm not going to have an issue with that, and I'll just lay my heart on top of my light and do it that way. And that's it for this part. So we're just going to go through and finish adding them on real quick. And you can already see like what a difference it makes. And then the ones that I'm using kind of they're the clear ones, but they have all the colors in them like iridescent. And so depending on how the light hits it, it just sparkles. It sparkles like diamonds, and I think it's super, super pretty. So while I'm finishing this up, I do want to say that I do have my memberships turned on now. I've got my first video that I posted last week, I think it was, up for members only, and it's a work in progress. I'm still trying to get some more stuff for anyone that's interested in becoming a channel member. And I also have super thanks that I have up. If you guys want to help support my channel, you can buy me a super thanks, and all proceeds will go towards future videos and all that fun stuff. Yeah, just wanted to mention that it's up. If there's anything that you would like to see in the membership thing, drop me a comment and let me know, and I will see what I can do about that. Okay, back to the video. So now it's about trying to figure out how to attach this heart, the smaller one, to the bigger frame, and I just got this kind of pink cord. It's almost looks like a foil look to it. And we're gonna see about tying it on now. I'm not gonna lie, I fooled with this for a hot minute trying to make sure and get it on there straight and tie it the right way. And I don't know, my brain was just not with me, I guess, when I was doing this, because I struggled really bad. Like it was something else. It did take me a while to do, and I mean I got there at the end. Now the way that I put the gemstones on, it kind of like slides off, the string slides off to one way or the other because I put that one in the middle. So it goes to one side of it or the other side of it, which kind of prevents it from hanging completely straight. I'm sure I can probably fool with it a little bit more and maybe avoid that somehow. Maybe put a second string in there and have one on each side of that middle gemstone to straighten it out. I didn't do that yet. That was honestly just a thought that popped into my brain, which is kind of how it seems to happen when I'm doing these voiceovers and looking back at what I'm doing. And that's it. Like, I put it on here, tied it on, and it's gorgeous. Like, I really like it. It's got like it has just a dainty look to it. Very beautiful. And you could put, pictures in it. You could put whatever in it that you want to kind of highlight. I like the frame a lot. You could probably, even if you wanted to, have the base light up with some fairy lights. I mean, it is kind of a smaller base, but I think that it could be done if that was something that you wanted to do. Or have the lights go around the heart in the middle. Maybe have them somehow coming out the back to where, or the bottom of it. You might be able to do that. Have it go in one side and come out the bottom somehow and hook it in so that it goes underneath the base of it. I don't know. It'd be something that you'd have to fool with, but I think it could potentially be done. That would look really pretty too, I think, if it was just like a super small set. Anyway, that's it on this one, guys. I will see you all on Thursday for the next one. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I will catch you then. Love ya. Bye.